सामने रख के कोई बात करेंगे
नहीं
सर एक मिनट की क्या मैच पे आपकी क्या
मैच मैं तो आपको पता है क्रिकेट में से जितनी दिलचस्पी रखता हूँ अगर पाकिस्तान खेले तो जीत जाए
सर में आगे तो नहीं
Morning guys.
How are you? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to make a very brief statement before I go in for what I believe is the final session of this cross-examination. It is clear now from the strategy of Mr. Haqqani that he has no facts to contradict the facts I've put on the table. It is clear that he has, in fact, no strategy at all. His strategy has been to misdirect, to obfuscate, to try and diverge from the issues at hand. He has not been able to put a single dent in any statement I've made with respect to the Commission's purpose, which is to explore all the relevant facts with regard to the origin, the authenticity, and the purpose of the memo. It is very unfortunate that he brought Yassin Malik into all of this and his wife and family. He is the one who asked, or his attorney is the one who asked the questions based on an article that I believe and I allege that they helped to create in the first place and plant in the news media. So, you know, this is the type of justice that Mr. Haqqani believes in. They first have an article planted in a newspaper. I allege that they did that. They then do everything they can to cross-examine me on something that is completely an unrelated fact in the case. They then take some element of that which would enable them to involve a third party that has nothing to do with this and have that third party allege that I'm the one who brought all of this up in the first place. This is the type of what I call kangaroo justice. I'd like everyone to understand that Mr. Haqqani and his lawyers believe in kangaroo justice. They have no concept of what real justice is all about, and they have lied. Mr. Haqqani has lied about every single thing he has said in regards to this entire memorandum affair. I think the lies have now been proved. There will be a very clear summary today. The Attorney General will cross-examine me. I'm more than happy to hear any questions that he's got. I believe that he should remind himself that he is acting on behalf of the Federation and not on behalf of the President of Pakistan. And his question should be focused on that aspect of the case and not on defending the President in any way. As you know, I've made very strong statements about the President's involvement in all of this. And his job is not to defend the President, but to defend the Federation of Pakistan. I'll take two questions.
Can you tell us briefly about that meeting that you arranged between Yassin Malik and some senior guy in the law? And that is actually
this person was the Deputy Director of Law at that time. His name is Chandra Sahay. Now, the problem is that he is, of course, and was at that time an official of the government of India. And under the Official Secrets Act in India, it was not possible for him to ever disclose anything about those meetings. He confirmed the meetings to the reporter whose article I put on the record. So there's no and ifs or buts about the fact that the meeting took place. There's no and ifs or buts about the fact that Yassin Malik was told in advance. He, in fact, negotiated the terms of that meeting. So I don't really understand what Yassin hopes to get. The people, you know, at that time what happened is there was a ceasefire. Yassin Malik, took credit and should take credit for having taken political risks to bring about a ceasefire in Kashmir. And the benefit of that accrued to him. There was no harm, there was no damage, there was nothing that happened to him as a result of all of that. And Yassin's a good guy. I don't know how he got himself wrapped up with these, you know, gangsters that are telling a bunch of lies to the people of Pakistan. Yeah.
Mr. Jas, everybody in Pakistan, you see Pakistan Army, President Jawari, Mr. Haqqani, and Yassin Malik even, and Admiral Mike Morgan.
Yeah.
They are the future allegations. You see, the Pakistan Army spokesman, ISPR, they have repeated there was no talk between the President and chief. You think everybody is fired in this case?
Let's go through the points that you just made. So Admiral Mullen denied receiving the memo, then had to retract his allegation and had to admit that he received the memo. General Jones said he received a phone call from me several days before, and now the phone records prove that there was no telephone call to him anywhere several days before. With regard to the Pakistan Army, I never said that there was a conversation directly between the President and the Army Chief. What I said was that their offices spoke to each other according to the document that I had received information on, and I did not vouch for the authenticity of that document. So when you refute a non-refusal, it means nothing.
And yes,
Two negatives don't make a positive in this case. Yeah. So just one thing. And with regard to Yassin Malik is now again refuting an allegation that I did not make. It was the lawyer of Mr. Mansoor Haqqani who made that allegation, not me. And they asked me to clarify.
But you told the commission that there was a meeting arranged by you between
Yes,
Yassin Malik
and I've given the proof that the former Raw chief came on the record and confirmed that to a newspaper in the Gulf in 2005, just after he left service as the chief of Raw. Yes.
Mr. Mansoor, do you think there is any rift between Pakistan Army and the civilian government in Pakistan? And what do you think about Pakistan Atomic Program? There were some allegations leveled by Mr. Haqqani's right that you are against Pakistani.
So let me be clear about the second one first. The nuclear program of Pakistan has every right to defend the nation. The nuclear program of Pakistan has every right to provide for civilian nuclear power to the nation, which Pakistan needs. What I was against, and I remain against, and I will always be against as an American citizen, is the proliferation of nuclear weapons. And in the case of Pakistan, there was an admission by the head of the nuclear program, Dr. A.Q. Khan, whether it was coerced, forced, what it was, doesn't make any difference. There was an admission that he had sold Pakistan's nuclear secrets to Iran, Libya, and North Korea for profit. That's something that I thought was wrong. I wrote about it. I am not the only one that thinks this. Go to any American citizen in America of any stature that wrote about these issues at that time, and you will find they said exactly the same thing. Now, with regard to the conflict between institutions, I made it very clear in the hearings yesterday that it is Mr. Haqqani and Mr. Zardari who created the conflict between institutions. The memorandum was the manifestation of that. Mr. Haqqani wanted me to deliver that message because he wanted to try and keep Mr. Zardari in power. And I've made the allegations very clear. The reason Mr. Zardari wants to stay in power is he wants to protect his presidential immunity. And the reason he needs to protect that presidential immunity is because Zardari Inc., that enterprise that he has been the head of since the early 1990s, that has looted, plundered, stolen the wealth of Pakistan, is sitting in Swiss banks. The people of Pakistan cannot run on their railways. They cannot run on their airplanes. They cannot buy steel anymore, and they're not able to find the ability to eat and have education. But those monies are sitting in Swiss bank accounts. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.